Hi, second graders. Welcome back. Happy Friday. I hope you all have had an amazing week, and I'm excited because I get to read another story with you today. So before we start reading the story, I just want to recap what we touched upon last week. We learned about problem solving and the 4 steps to help us solve our problems. So step 1 was stop and calm yourself down. So if there's ever a situation where you might feel angry or upset, that's normal and that's okay. So we just want to stop ourselves so we don't get too angry. And we calm ourselves down by either taking a deep breath like Maddie did in the story, or maybe counting to 10. Miss Bayonne likes to maybe take a little bit of a walk, come back, regroup. So it's whatever you need to help yourself calm down. Do that so that you're ready to jump into number 2. So once you're calm, you want to talk. You want to talk about your feelings, talk about how you're feeling in that moment, and also listen to how other people are feeling about what is happening. And then once you both have come to an agreement and you're able to talk about the problem, you can state the problem out loud, which will then help us jump into step 3, which we're going to learn more about today through the story and in the activities after the story. So before we start that, I have one quick question. Have you and a friend ever had to figure out a problem regarding having to share something that maybe you both wanted? So either that being a game during recess that maybe only one person can play with. How are you able to decide what to do moving forward with that? So there are many, many different ways to solve a problem. So it's important to decide together and then choose a solution that works for everybody. And deciding together involves being able to talk about how you're feeling and what the problem is. Sometimes it requires compromise. So for me, last week with the board game with my sister, I made a compromise and she made a compromise. And so we went back and forth and were able to say, I want to play this, I want to play this. And then we landed on a compromise of Pictionary. So in the story that we're going to read today, there is a problem on the playground and a group of friends have to figure out what they're going to do to solve this problem. So as you listen to the story, I want you guys to pay attention on the different ideas that the kids have to help solve this problem and reach a compromise. All right, so here we go. The ball situation. As the lunch bell rang loudly, the cafeteria doors swung open and another group of children hurried outside for recess. Kim, Jordan, and Annie headed straight across the playground towards the equipment rack, anxious to get a ball and start a game of kickball. When they got to the rack, they were surprised to find that it was completely empty. There wasn't a single ball, jump rope, or hula hoop in sight. Just then, a 4th grader ran past them, kicking a soccer ball. Annie frowned as she turned to her friends. There are usually enough balls for everyone. The 4th graders are going to have to give us one of theirs. Jordan pointed toward the grass fields. They're already playing, he said, so it's not fair to take their ball. Then he spotted the school principal. Let's go ask Miss Denny what happened. Miss Denny explained to the kids that the equipment rack had been left outside yesterday. It had been very windy and most of the balls were now lost. So, it sounds like a lot of kids want to play with the balls, but there aren't enough for everyone, said Miss Denny. Why don't you think about some ways to solve this problem? And then we can talk about your ideas. The kids wondered what they could do about the ball situation. Let's just tell Miss Denny that our class should get all the balls because we have more kids, said Annie. Kim and Jordan did not think that was a fair idea. But a lot more kids in our class play ball, Annie insisted. There wouldn't be that many 4th graders who wouldn't get to play. Well, my sister is one of those 4th graders, said Jordan, and she wouldn't like that idea at all. We have to figure out something that is fair for everyone. Yeah, agreed Kim. We can't just have it our way. Let's try to think of some other ideas. Do we think that Annie's ideas, taking a ball from the fourth graders or having their class get all of the balls, was a fair solution? How would the kids in the other classes have felt if they had to do it Annie's way instead of deciding together? They should be able to come up with ideas as a group. What if we just split them? Jordan suggested Jordan. Our class would get half the balls and the fourth graders could have the rest. But there aren't very many balls, said Kim, so a lot of kids wouldn't get to play. Do we think Jordan's suggestion might be a little bit more fair than Annie's suggestion? Yeah, I think it might be a little bit more, but let's see if we can come up with a better solution. Kim suggested that they make a sign-up sheet so kids could sign up for a ball ahead of time. I think that could be confusing, and it might get lost, said Jordan, shaking his head. Why don't we just take turns with the fourth grade? They could use the balls one day, and we could use them the next day. That seems like it might be a good compromise. So sometimes you have to compromise to solve a problem so that each person has a little bit to give up of what he or she may want to come to a solution that everything is fair for everyone and makes everyone feel okay. So I wonder if having the fourth grade do it one day and then play the next day is a fair compromise. The kids decided that this might work for everyone, so they shared their idea with Miss Denny and the fourth graders. Everyone agreed that this was a fair solution to the ball situation. For the rest of the week, the class took turns using the ball at recess. How was the solution of each class taking turns using the ball on different days a compromise? What do you all think? How is this a compromise? After lunch the next Monday, Annie, Kim, and Jordan ran straight for the equipment rack because it was their turn for the balls. It was empty again. "This isn't working," exclaimed Annie. Her friends agreed. "We're going to have to figure out something else to do. Let's go talk to the other class and see if we can come up with another idea together." So when the group's idea of taking turns with the balls every other day didn't seem to work, Annie and her friends were able to come up with an idea to move forward and talk with the fourth graders and see what they could do moving forward. They walked over to the fourth grade kickball game and said hello to one of the kids who was waiting in line for his turn to kick. They explained that they were supposed to have the balls today. "Oh, sorry," they explained. "I guess we forgot what day it was. Why don't you just play with us?" "Really?" asked Annie. "Sure," answered the kid. "We always have extra players on each team, so we just rotate in and out and take turns playing. If you join our game, we'll just have more people going in and out." So the kids got in line and joined the game. They had a lot of fun, and a couple of the fourth graders even taught them a different way to kick the ball so it would go even farther. After that day, there were no more problems with the playground balls. The fourth graders would start in and out games of kickball or soccer first, and then the other classes would join in the games when they came out for recess. Pretty soon, every kid who didn't usually play ball wanted to join in the fun too. After a few weeks, Jordan, Kim, and Jeremy noticed that there were new balls on the equipment rack. "Do you want to start our own game today?" Kim asked her friends. Maybe tomorrow," answered Annie. "There's an in-and-out soccer game over there, and they're about to switch players." "Well then, let's go," said her friends, and they ran to join the game. So what happens at the end of this story? We find that Annie, Jordan, and Kim, and Jeremy are able to go and enjoy the game with their friends. And the solution to their problem, did it work? Do you think that it was a fair way to solve the problem and make everybody happy? I would say so. I think they definitely did that. So in this story, the characters were able to complete the last 2 steps for problem solving. So they started off with step 3, which is think of possible solutions. So in this story, they thought of many different solutions, starting in the beginning with Annie saying that she thought taking the balls from the 4th graders would be a good solution. And her friends didn't really agree with that solution, so they didn't try that one. Then they decided to maybe split the balls in half, so have their grade have half of the balls and then the 4th graders. But the 4th graders were already playing with them, so her friends didn't think that was a good one. So then they tried to go on and off each day. So one day, one of them would get the balls, and the next day, the other group would get the balls. And they tried that, but I'm not quite sure that that worked. So when they tried that, that's the 4th step. They actually tried this out. And sometimes when you try them out, you realize that it might not work. And in this case, it wasn't as fair as they had hoped, and it wasn't productive in that manner because they were not getting the balls. It was only the 4th graders that were. So at the end, they tried the solution of everybody playing together. And that solution worked just perfectly. And when we're trying to see if a solution works, we can ask ourselves, is it safe? I think this one was definitely safe. Everyone was playing with each other. Is it fair? Definitely fair. Everyone is playing together and having fun. And will everyone feel okay? Which I definitely think happened in this one. So they went through all of the steps to help them solve their problem. And in the end, the solution was fair and everyone enjoyed playing either kickball or soccer together outside. And even friends who maybe wouldn't have done it in the beginning chose to do so. So that was awesome.